Good afternoon. It's Monday, August 12th. This is Trader Swift, and I'm going to do a quick market update. All right, we had some down action today, both on the Qs, the SPYs, and most of the stocks I follow. Looking at the QQQs, it looks like we did hold above the let's see, this last Monday downdraft. So we did reject that level, uh, and that's I actually see that as a positive sign. However, on the SPYs, it looks like we did close inside of that range. Anytime you close inside of a large bar like that, and particularly a high volume day like that, there is some likelihood that we'll want to go back and retest that bottom level. So, um, both of the indexes are telling a slightly different story. So we'll have to wait and see. In yesterday's video, I was talking about the two different scenarios where we may be forming a larger ABC structure to the upside, where we go up, retrace back, and then continue up, or the slightly more bearish view is that we've come down on high volume, we're retracing up, and that we're going to retest this level. So this is just a slight retracement. Um, the other positive thing I'm seeing today, today's downward action was on lighter volume. So maybe that's telling us that the sellers that were selling are tired of selling, and they just wanted to see what was left, and we may have higher prices. Now, I don't know. Again, we can't predict. Probably the best thing we can predict are the levels. There were some comments this morning about some of my prior videos where I was picking the exact level where it bounced, and that's not magic. That's not rocket science. That's just getting to know charts and just understanding how price action works. Now, looking at the QQQs, I would have told you that the top of this high volume bar day would be a likely place to find support, and it was. So look for those high volume days, and look for either support or at the top, if you're coming from below, look at resistance on those days when trying to break through. For example, um, when we do make our way back up here, if it's anytime soon, if we consolidate here for a while, and then finally work to break through, it will find some resistance. Whether that's hang out several days here, or at least intraday, you'll find, and then finally it'll pop through, and and then continue higher. That pop through that level, either on the upside or on the downside, um, that is either due, on the downside, it's due to stops being taken out. People have stops below, and if it goes down, those stops issue a lot of sell orders quickly, so you get sort of a very fast breakout to the downside. It's the exact opposite to the upside. That's often stops for short sellers breaking through. That's why you'll see a lot of breakouts on higher levels will happen very fast. So it'll pop up, but usually it'll pull back, and that's a good time to buy after that, especially if that pullback is on lighter volume. Let's look at the IWM. I haven't looked at that yet. Well, this index has been quite a bit weaker than the SPYs and the QQQs. Again, this is the smaller cap companies. We came up starting in January, and then we've just been in this consolidation range. So that's still healthy. We're still consolidating, and I'm not going to be too worried until we get below this. But it's definitely a time to be cautious. Gold, JNUG, looks like wasn't such a good day today. I mean, I'm just going to skip that because I haven't been paying too much attention to it. I did buy a couple um, couple stocks today. I bought Team, Coupa, and Okta. All three of them had a good start. Crossed some key levels that I was looking to buy. Around this level, Coupa around this level, and then Okta right at this level. I think I picked it up a little bit higher because I didn't think it was going to make it down there. But you know, I did hold at least in these two, Coupa and Team. I'm underwater, and that's okay. But I decided to hold overnight because of the light volume day that we saw on the QQQ and the spies, and as well as all the leaders held up. Um, all of these stocks, Team, Coupa, Okta, they're kind of hanging out in the range. I looked at. I was also looking at the weekly chart today. That doesn't look bad on a weekly time scale. Neither does Coupa, neither does Okta. So they're all up there. Now we start breaking. If we break this level from last week, if we break the low of last week, that's definitely some other area to be concerned. Um, you know, I did not post about my buys today, and that's simply because I feel like trading on days like today, we still don't have a direction. We're still in consolidation. It's high risk. I'm not sure I really want to encourage it. Unless you really know what you're doing now. On the last video, I did talk about these levels, so you obviously could have taken it there, but I don't want to be nudging you in that direction if you're not ready to take that trade. But this is how I begin to take trades. When the market is trying to find a footing, I'll take a really small trade. Um, these I believe I'm about 1/4 of a position in. Um, and you know what that means? That also means I can have a really wide stop. Um, for example, I can have stop below this level and still be fine and not really take any significant loss to my portfolio. So um, I like to take a really small position in the beginning, have a wide stop, and then when we start to break out to newer highs, either across this level or across this level, that's when I'll add and then move my stop right below this level, and that's the ideal place. But I want to start a position, see how it goes, see if we find a footing. Now, if the Qs and the spies tomorrow, we break. If tomorrow we break below today's low and continue on downward, I'm going to have to make a game time decision on whether or not I want to hold through that or just take my hit. And that's part of trading. But it is much easier when you do take a really small position. It's not a big hit. It's fine. But when if you do have a small position at a lower price, and we do bust through here in the next couple days. I'm going to be really thankful to have bought some down here because that means I can have a wide stop below this level, which is the good key level. And then after if we continue to test these highs, my I have a really good cushion, and we'll have to reach a point where I am not having to watch my positions as closely throughout the day, which is what that's the position I want to be in. Just because these times, these last 2 weeks have been tiring. This choppy mess, you can really get hit and lose a lot of money if you're not careful. So I would just say continue to trade small, and if you are trading, or just be patient. The next logical buy point would be at the high. So here, just looking at any of these, team, that's still a good position or a good level if you want to get in there. Let me look at a few others. CrowdStrike, it broke the level again. I still would like to get in above here, or ideally down here, but we'll see what happens. Shopify pulled back a little bit today, but very little. It didn't give us that much. So on this down day, on this light volume down day, it pulled back just a little bit. So as I said yesterday, it's a bit extended, and I really don't want to buy at these levels. I'd like to see a more of a pullback. Zscaler, it just kind of hung out. AMD, I'm just seeing this for the first time. It did come down a little harder. It's coming down on lighter volume. I mean, that's telling me. So it did approach this level with heavy accelerated volume. It broke through that level on high volume, and then came back on lighter volume. Um, you know this this last Friday, I think that was just completely affected by the activity in the rest of the market, and the same thing with today. I feel like AMD is healthy, so if you're not in it and you want it, I would just be patient and either buy down here or wait for this 34.27 level. AYX, also didn't watch it, but wow, it looks like it held up pretty well. On lighter volume, it's up, but this one wants to run, and this one's a leader, so definitely something to keep watching. BYND looks like it had a better day on a little bit accelerated volume. I don't know. I'm not really interested until at least gets above this day, or ideally this 188 level, and then best yet this 201 level. These are all high volume days that we need to watch out for, that could offer a lot of resistance as we approach them. Smartsheet, not a good day. I haven't been watching this one too closely. I'm not really interested until it's back above the 49.29 level. Neo came down kind of hard, looks like, but on lighter volume, that's probably a good level to buy. But I don't know. I think there are stronger stocks. Some of the ones I was talking about earlier: Team, Coupa, Okta, CrowdStrike, Shopify, Zscaler, Zendesk, continuing to the downside. Paysign, some indecision there. I'm not really interested in this. Roku, wow, just seeing this. It's continuing the move from earnings. I believe I said don't buy up here. If you did buy up here, congrats, but it's just too much risk for me. It looks like it's probably pretty soon to completing a measured move, or an ABC. So if we had one here, A, B, C, D, and then we start again, A, B, and then this is the consolidation. So B, C, and then D, A, B, C, D. Looks like the measured move is completed on the weekly, and you can also see it on the daily. Um, the healthy thing to do would be for it to consolidate up here a little bit, and then after some time of consolidation, you see this more clearly here. Let's look at this one; it's cleaner. So after this consolidation, you see when it broke that point, that was another good buy. So if it does it again here, if it consolidates here, when it breaks that B point right there, that'll be another good buy up. If you're not in it, you missed it. Don't worry about it. There are other trades out there. I would not chase it here. I'm not saying it won't go higher. Stocks sometimes do go higher, but anything extended, I don't want to be buying at the top. I really want it to build a nice base over a period of days or weeks, and then that'll give you some room to buy in. Rapid7 looks like another day of indecision here. Wow, that's extremely light volume. Wow, looks like no one traded this today. I do like it above this level here, this 57 level, and I'll be watching it. This is another one I want to get back in if if the indexes do turn out for the positive. Zillow continuing to get hit after earnings. CyberArk, this is one I recommended to stay away from, and yeah, it looks like very similar to Rapid7. It's movement today. No movement on no volume, so not much going on there. Yeah, that's really it in a nutshell. I'll be watching closely to see what happens. I'm going to be looking at the lows of today as a level. It's a weekly. The low of today as a level. If it takes out those tomorrow, we could have more downside. I'm going to be playing it really cautious with the positions I do have. But if we do take out today's high tomorrow, we consolidate more this week and then take out this high, then I'll definitely be adding. And hold on, excuse me. I'll definitely be adding to my positions then, but I don't want to add too fast because that has how I've gotten burned before, where I add a little too prematurely and then the market whips around a bit. So I'd rather kind of wait for myself to get a nice cushion in the green. Usually between 4 and 5%, I find that's a good place to start adding more. So we'll see. I did have a question today on Swing Chat on how do I find stocks? And unfortunately, I don't have a great answer for that. I don't have a certain scanner that I use. I don't have a particular set of conditions. But what I can say is I do trade what are considered momentum stocks. So if you Google momentum stocks, you'll find a lot of the names that I'm talking about. Now, what is a momentum stock? That's a momentum stock is a high growth company. It's a company that is in a new industry. I trade a lot of software, so security software, enterprise software, artificial intelligence, that sort of stuff. Those are all sort of newer, high growth industries. Other industries would be solar. That's another one, and I know some people also trade the cannabis stocks. Those are all momentum stocks. I like companies with real revenue. I like companies with revenue growth. So at some point, I'll show you this other charting software I use called MarketSmith, which easily shows revenue growth quarter over quarter. Ideally, I like stocks that grow, that have an increase in revenue of 25% quarter over quarter. So I'll use MarketSmith a lot of times to find stocks or evaluate the types of stocks I want to trade to build my list. Now, you as a new trader, you can find stocks on if you look at investing.com or Investors Business Daily on that site. There's all kinds of articles about momentum stocks, so that's a good place to find names. You can start researching a lot of the names I trade. Team Coupa. Well, one, you can trade these stocks. I don't know why you're looking for other ones, but these are there's a good set of names here. But if you do want to find others, you can look for other competing companies or companies in the same class as these, and that'll give you some ideas. There's also a number of people that I have followed over the years on Twitter and StockTwits that will throw out ideas. And I don't blindly follow someone. I just I I look for particular things. So when I do hear a name, for example, a newer one that I've been hearing more and more about from various people is AYX. So that's recently made my list, and just looking at AYX's chart, that'll also tell you a story. I mean, can anyone identify the direction here? Is it going down? No, it's going up. Okay, so this is the type of stock I want to trade. I do get questions about these stocks that I don't know if I have any examples because I don't hold them. But for example, if someone pointed this out and it had this big down and then it had a slight turnaround, would you would you recommend that one? Well, not me. I mean, there's a style of trading that you can buy the dip and all of that. That's not how I swing trade. Um, that's certainly an okay strategy if you can figure out how to make it work. But I personally prefer to look for stocks that just have this kind of up and to the right. And if you use the weekly chart, that's going to show you the sort of the best viewpoint of what the trend is. Um, so this method of trading could be called trend following or just riding the trend, finding the trend. So I want to look for stocks that are going up in the long term, and then buy them at key levels when they've built a base. I want to buy them at that key level when I can, and then ride it all the way until earnings, and then sell it before earnings, so I don't get hit in earnings. But one of the hardest things is navigating around earnings. So you've got to sell before earnings, but also right after earnings, you need to try to find a good entry again. And that was my problem with Shopify. I was holding it before, and actually that wasn't my problem with Shopify. This is the key area that I could have bought, and I just didn't buy. Was it Smartsheet earlier? Sorry, I can't remember. But so after earnings, you really once your key level set after earnings, then I know this prior high. I know this was prior resistance. This was a good level. There's no reason why I should not have bought this the other day. Well, the reason was everything else going on in the market. But hey, you're not going to win them all. You're not going to hit them all. But earnings had happened. I knew what the key level was. I mean, this line has been drawn there way before it broke out there. Um, so once it broke that level, it ran and it decided to run. So it's a matter of knowing what they are and catching them before they run. And I'm not going to catch them all. And also I may take trades like this team trade. This is obviously the level that is dancing around right now. Um, it may not run. It may just continue to consolidate sideways forever. Who knows? Um, but if I stay on the sidelines, I'm never going to catch it. So you do have to play the game, but it's important to manage your risk, and that's why I take small positions. I set wide stops so I don't get stopped out every single day, and then I'll see what happens. You know, I'll watch what the indexes are doing tomorrow. If it looks like we have more downside after tomorrow, then I'm probably gonna close out the positions I have for the time being, and maybe even try to buy at even lower level, maybe down here, for example. But I'll just see what happens. I still want to have an open mind. I'm not overly bearish right now. I'm cautiously bearish, but I'm also not overly bullish either. But and also sorry, the bearish case is knowing the history of the months of August and September. They're traditionally slow months, and then October, November, December, we traditionally see a rally in the market. So um, that was one thing I forgot to mention yesterday in the update is we could find ourselves consolidating in some range, whether that just be in this range, from the top to the bottom, or in a little bit of a tighter range, or maybe a tighter ascending channel for the next 2 months. It could very well happen. I was saying don't be too overly biased to the upside or too overly biased to the downside. And then I actually forgot to mention the third scenario, which is we could consolidate for a while. We could really bounce back and forth. And if you're not careful in a in a consolidation phase like that, or in a choppy phase, if you're trying to buy breakouts when it's consolidating, you're probably going to get stopped out multiple times, and then you're gonna feel a death by 1,000 cuts. You know, each stop out, you may not lose that much money, but if it happens 5 to 10 times, it's going to be hurting. It's going to almost like be like one big loss. So keep that in mind as well. Unfortunately, I hope you're not looking to me for answers other than you've got to hang in there. You've got to just read the market, see what's happening, and adapt, and use the information that's being revealed every day, and you know make a decision. And if it but don't risk too much. And then if it goes against you, then you haven't lost that much. But if it goes your way, then you've built a good base, so that when it does break another key level, you can add to it and go in a larger position and still have a wide stop. And then you're set up for a really good run. So hopefully we do consolidate a bit, or at least kind of have a slow grind up, and then throughout the rest of the year, either it's the last 3 months or the last 4 months of the year, we do have a really, really good long run up, and we're all making a lot of money. So, don't get discouraged. These are hard times to trade, these choppy times. So, just kind of keep going, keep learning every day, keep watching it every day. Over time, you'll really kind of start to get a sense of how the market moves, and you'll start to be able to take trades a little more confidently, and have conviction behind what you're doing, and do well. So um, yeah, I've droned on and on and on. This is already 27 minutes long, so I apologize if any of you are bored, but hopefully that helps. If you do like these, I think the one way you can help me is give me a big fat like on YouTube, and that'll get my channel a little bit of traction, hopefully. And hey, the more followers I can get, the more motivation it is to keep doing these. So anyway, well, thanks a lot, and I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.